Hello, everyone, everywhere. This is Bob Thibodeau with the Kingdom Crossroads podcast, and you are listening to the Going North podcast with my good friend Don Brightman. Be sure to subscribe to his podcast so you will not miss any of the upcoming episodes, and be blessed in all that you do.
And today on the Highlight Reel Builder for Authors, known as the Going North podcast, we got another super special, awesome human for you today. Next to my good buddy, Pastor Bob Thibodeau from the Kingdom Crossroads podcast. I got to thank my good buddy, him, who is also a veteran, because he hooked me up with another veteran of the good old US of A, because this guest in particular is the founder and CEO of IGOTSMARTER. That's right, folks. IGOTSMARTER, a goal achievement program created to help people succeed in every aspect of life. And prior to that, he's had multiple successes, including being a top real estate agent, completing well over $1 billion in transactions for his clients, and being a serial entrepreneur. So my man's been starting more businesses than Kellogg's cereal, y'all. And he successfully founded over 10 businesses that's been named one of Las Vegas's top 40 under 40. And it doesn't stop there, folks, because this wonderful gentleman right here is also happily married for over 25 years and has raised 3 children and is still living in the wonderful area of Las Vegas. So let's give it up for the super special, awesome human who has wrote this one super special, awesome book that you're going to hear about from a U.S. veteran himself, Nelson Tressler. How you doing today, Nelson?
I'm doing great, Don, man. Appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
My pleasure indeed. My pleasure indeed. Got to have you on like neck bone, my man. That's right.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited. Let's have a good conversation.
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you, speaking of books and great conversation, like what led to the title, The Unlucky Sperm Club? Because that's something you don't really hear about depending on where you are in the part of the world.
Yeah, well, I've got quite the origin story. You know, my mom became pregnant with me when she was 15 years old. And while she was pregnant with me, her father drove into the small town square in Pennsylvania. There he spotted 2 police officers. He stuck a gun out the window and opened fire on those police officers, killing one and critically wounding another. And eventually my grandfather was captured and brought to stand trial, where he was facing the death penalty for what he had done. And during that murder trial, my mom got up and testified to the jury that the reason that her father had shot and killed that police officer was that police officer had raped her, and she was now pregnant with his baby, who was me. And my mom's testimony worked. The first trial ended in a hung jury. However, the second trial had my grandfather found guilty, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, leaving behind his family of 15 children, including my mom and now me in this small town, to deal with these circumstances that he has created. Eventually, my mom meets a man. I'm born to a 15-year-old mother. When my mom turned 21, she met a man who would become my stepfather. And come to find out, he was an alcoholic, very physically and emotionally abusive to me and my mom. And that's the way my life went. And eventually they had 4 children in quick succession. And because of the lifestyle that they were living, a lot of the basic needs of my siblings fell upon me, from diaper changing to bottle feeding to waking up at 2 a.m. to help crying babies. And that's the way my life went until one day my stepfather was walking home drunk from a bar, and somebody else was driving home drunk from that bar, and they ended up hitting and killing him. And this was the time where my mom, who had lived a brutal life to this point, she could not figure out how she was going to care for 5 small children on her own. She had dropped out of school in the 8th grade. She's never worked outside of the home. And it was at this time that she decided she was going to take her own life, and she attempted suicide. Fortunately, she was not successful, but when she did get out of the hospital after her suicide attempt, that's when my family got split up. And that's when I went to go live with my grandmother, who was the wife of the man who shot and killed the police officer. Wow. So you can kind of see where that title came from.
Wow. Yeah, definitely. Like, dude, that's one heck of a Powerful story, and that's definitely a rare story. It's not like the classic someone got into a car accident or anything like that. It's like, like, dude, mom was raped at the age of 15 by a police officer, and he was shot and killed. So it's like, oh, wow, and just going down the line like that, and then being the oldest son, basically helping raise the rest of the kids and bringing them up.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was not easy, and there's a lot of twists and turns that, in that book, The Unlucky Sperm Club. The subtitle is "You're not a victim of your circumstances, but a product of your choices." And there's a lot of twists and turns in the book. It's kind of reads like a murder mystery slash memoir slash self-help. So if you want to be entertained, but you also want some actionable items to turn your life around, that's kind of the preface that I wrote that book on.
Sounds like a movie in the making.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Steven Spielberg to give me a call, but he hasn't called yet.
Yeah, he probably called Tyrone. That's probably what happened. Like, dude, you're not supposed to call Tyrone. You got to call Nelson here, man. Like, I know Hollywood's aching for ideas. It's like, oh, the dark pandemic. Like, we gotta get some good movies here. Like, oh yeah, that Nelson Tressler, the Unlucky Sperm Club. Like, let's make that a movie, because that's definitely a powerful story. It's still alive to tell the tale, and heck, even having the mindset to be able to really just take those setbacks and turn it into a setup for success and continuous and sustainable success, it sounds like.
Yeah, and I learned a lot of strategies. But so when I moved in with my grandmother for the first time in my life, I didn't have to worry about having food in the house. That wasn't the case when I lived with my mom and my stepfather. I didn't have to worry about the lights turning on when you hit the switch. I didn't have to worry about having heat in the house in the winter. So I started to kind of reflect upon, once I got out of that survival mode, I started to reflect, where am I going to end up in my life? And I kind of looked, and I didn't like the direction that I was heading. And then one day I went to school. I was in 7th grade or so at this time. And a counselor came in from Penn State University, and they started talking about all the things that you needed to do to get into college. And I thought to myself, wow, you know what? If I could get a college degree, the rest of my life would be easy after that. And at least that's what I thought. But then, what happens whenever you tell yourself you're going to do something that's difficult? That voice in the back of your head just starts screaming at you all the reasons you shouldn't even try it. And I remember thinking to myself, Nelson, by this time I had failed the 4th grade. I was placed into special ed. I got diagnosed with, dyslexia. So, and of the family that I came from, only 2 of those 15 children ever graduated high school. None had ever even attended college. So that voice in the back of my head pretty much was telling me, Nelson, you're going to be lucky to graduate high school, let alone college. But I had nothing else to go for. So I started doing the things that I thought would get me into college and get me a college degree. And 12 years, 4 different universities, 4 years in the United States Air Force. And finally, I became that first person in my family to get a college degree.
Yes, indeed, man. Curse breaker, baby. That's right. Curse breaker, chain breaker, baby. That's right. The first of many to come, man. Congrats, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, and I totally believe that. I mean, there's always got to be somebody that's got to be that first person to kind of break the cycle and to be able to do something that no one else has done. And, just like you said, a trendsetter there, because now there's been a lot of people in my family who have now, graduated high school, gone on and gotten college degrees after I've been able to do it. And I think that they look at that, they see that it's possible. And once you realize that something's possible, that's when you're going to go after it. And when you really start to believe in it, and all it takes is that one person, that first person to do it. Because I totally believe if one of us can do it, all of us can do it.
Heck yeah, I could definitely say that again. Kind of like the classic one. Was it the 4-minute mile with Roger Bannister that was
Absolutely.
broken, which is broken what, like every year from high school students now?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it took 2,000 years where they were trying to do it. And then after Bannister did it, then I think 15 people did it in 18 months. And now, yeah, high school students are running sub 4-minute miles. All along, people thinking that it wasn't even physically possible.
Yeah, and it's just interesting. It kind of goes to show it's like, hey, like you got to sometimes not pay attention to the messages that are out there, or sometimes the messages that are marketed out the most, because they may not always be true, because sometimes it just takes that one person to really just break that cycle and be a trendsetter and help, heck, even especially when it comes to family, because you yourself being that role model for the rest of the family, be able to follow that trend and to realize like, hey, this is something possible, like success is tangible here.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wrote the Unlucky Sperm Club. I really pulled back the curtain on my life and got into all the struggles that I had. You talked about I've been married for 25 years to my wife, but we were probably one or two arguments away from getting divorced back in 2010. And the business successes that I've had, I've done all of that, but back during the Great Recession, when we had, 2008, 2009, 2010, I was literally a few months away from having to claim bankruptcy. So it wasn't easy. It wasn't like, yeah, this was just a cakewalk and I had it all figured out. Absolutely not. There were a lot of struggles and trials in there. I think the one superpower that I have is I just don't ever give up. And I think there's a lot to be said about once you set a goal, not giving up and just figuring out a way to accomplish that goal.
Like, yeah, I could definitely say that again. And especially with that mindset in mind, and be able to, heck, actually, now to think about it, when you mentioned your marriage, like, do you think the 2010 arguments, like a couple arguments away from ending the marriage, you think that may have made the marriage stronger for last year's pandemic?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We learned a lot as we were going through those trials and struggles about each other and about our love for each other and what was important to us. And so because we made it through that, I mean, I think, it was a rough few years there, but I think, the last, 15 years have been a lot better because of that. So that's the thing is, these trials and struggles, they actually make you stronger if you survive them, and if you don't quit, you will survive them. So yeah, we definitely have a better marriage today than we had before those trials and those struggles.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. There we go. That's right. Trials make you stronger indeed. And we can triumph over just about anything. And you mentioned goal setting, and that's something that's mentioned a lot in the personal development space. And you got this fabulous app too about how basically I got smarter. So what inspired the app, my friend?
Yeah, so I mean, that was my goal, is to become the first person in my family to graduate from college. And once I was able to accomplish that goal, it really opened my eyes to the power of goals and personal development. And I really became obsessed after that. And I use that in every area of my life. And you read off some of the things that I've been able to do. I became the top salesman worldwide for a top 5 commercial real estate firm. I was able to start, more than 10 businesses, including one of the largest privately held pet resort chains in the country. And, have that marriage of 25 years and be able to do a lot of the other things. But I really can trace all that back to understanding how to write goals and how to achieve goals. And I see there's so many people in life that are just a few choices away from living a drastically different life. And the I Got Smarter program helps people achieve their life's biggest goals. I really have taken everything that I've learned over the last 25 years and I built it into this program. And then I designed that into an app so that it would be easy to use. And then so that nobody would have an excuse, I priced it at $10 a month to use it. And I designed it so that you could really design your entire day in less than 10 minutes. So if you have $10 a month and you have 10 minutes a day, you could drastically be living a different life, in the next few months if you use this program.
Ah, well, there you go. Subscription model ahoy. That's right. It's $10 a month, folks. That's right. So if you got Netflix, you can go ahead and add this to your wonderful investment for yourself this time around. Instead of Netflix and chill, more like I got smarter in advance. That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes, it did. So my goodness. So with the goal setting, there may be times where folks have really backslid or may have lost track of their goals. So basically, with you basically being an expert at this and basically living it, what advice would you give to others who may have strayed off the path a bit? Because some folks, they may have been able to advance during these past few months or past year with the pandemic. Some may have backslidden. Like, what helps you to really keep that mindset strong to be able to keep advancing towards accomplishing those goals you set for yourself?
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably have kind of backslid a little bit through these, turbulent times that we're going through. But I think all you have to do is get started again. And there's a lot of pitfalls out there that will prevent you from getting started. A lot of people want things to be perfect before they get started, and a lot of people, they wait for all these little things to get started again. And that's one of the things that the I Got Smarter app does is, one, it goes through a self-assessment, so you know exactly what goals you want to accomplish. And there's so many different strategies and philosophies that we've built into this program that not only help you work on the goals that are important to you, but we teach you how to break these huge goals down into 4-week sprints so that you can work on those. And we teach you how to work on the most important goals so that you're not focused on too many things. And we have what we call success partners through the app. They know when you're working on your goals, when you're doing your morning and your evening rituals, and we support each other and we can help each other stay on track, because there's nothing wrong with, falling off the wagon for a day or even a week. The problem is once people kind of fall off of the wagon on their goals for a week, then they just throw up their hands and they want to wait till next New Year's to start all over again. And now they've just wasted an entire year. So our program is really designed to help you get back up and get going on your goals and not wait months or heaven forbid years to get back going again.
Ah, yes, indeed. Definitely got to get back on the horse, as they say, get back on that wagon, indeed, because sometimes you fall off and then out of nowhere you run into an apple cart. It's like, oh, darn, I turned it over. Like crap,
Yeah.
all the apples of Eden fell. So, with that in mind, and basically getting those goals and getting the magical app, what would be your advice for folks to really, I guess, focus on making sure they turn their setbacks into a setup for success? Because you've had plenty of setbacks in life and you'll be able to turn them into success. So, what advice would you give to them since you've been able to do that for yourself multiple times over?
Yeah, I mean, I truly believe we get to assign meaning to everything that happens to us in our lives. So when you have one of those setbacks, you actually get to assign the meaning to that. And if you want to assign a negative meaning and say, woe is me, well, then that's what that setback's going to mean to you. But if you want to say, you know what, I'm going to learn from this, this is actually going to help me propel, you get to assign a meaning to that. So assign a good meaning, assign something that's going to help you thrive and succeed. So that would be my number one piece of advice is we get to assign meaning to everything that happens to us. Dig in there and find something good to everything that happens to us, and then learn from it and use it to propel your success.
Ah, there you go, right there. Dig into something good. That's right. You'll find something good indeed. That's right. That's why gold is usually under dirt somewhere. You got to dig through it.
Absolutely. And if you keep digging, sooner or later, you're going to hit gold.
That's right. That's right indeed. Could be the real gold, could be liquid gold, heck, even could be some other form of gold too. Some precious goodness, some Bible goodness. Yes, indeed. So, since this is far from your first rodeo, is there a question that you wish you'd be asked more often on these podcasts?
Whew. Um, you know what? I like getting asked, questions about overcoming things, because I think we all have our struggles. We all have to overcome circumstances, and everybody's is different, but everybody's is just as severe in my point of view. so I like getting asked that, and I like to show people that we can overcome everything that happens to us in our lives. And it's not a matter of where we start, it's a matter of where we finish. And you know, and it's not an overnight thing, but you absolutely can change your not your life overnight, but you can change the direction of your life. And I think that's what people need to realize is one choice probably won't change your life, but it absolutely can change the direction of your life. And then each day you get to continue to make those choices that are going to eventually change your life.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's right. Choices are powerful indeed. Because if I'm not mistaken, you actually chose to join the Air Force. You did that for about 4 years, right?
Yeah, I joined the Air Force. That got me out of that small town where, you know, I had so much baggage when it came to who I was and what my family represented back there. And it also helped me to pay to finish up college. So definitely don't regret the Air Force. Loved every minute of it. Got to go overseas, served in Turkey, Saudi Arabia, actually met my wife, TDY, in Las Vegas. So nothing but good things to say about the Air Force.
Ah, beautiful. So sounds like you got a lot out of that time in the Air Force. So would there be one or two major lessons from your time that really helped you to become who you are today?
Yeah, you know what, the when I was in the Air Force, what I realized was people were depending on me doing what I said I would do. So it was a big team, and I worked on the flight line. I worked on, you know, fighter aircraft, and the pilots were depending on me to actually do what I said I was going to do and be very careful. And you know, you realize people are depending on you. You know, and in the Air Force, it was life and death. And I think it really clicked to me that, you know, the things that I need to do to become more responsible, I really need to follow through with that, especially in the Air Force. But even when you're out, you know, in business and as a husband and as a father, doing what you say you're going to do, people depending on you and knowing that they can depend on you makes all the difference in your life and with people trusting you. So I think that was the biggest lesson that I learned in the Air Force.
Ah, beautiful. That's right. Some responsibility and some accountability, baby. That's right. That's what I'm talking about, indeed. That's right. People are counting on you. That's right. That's right, indeed. Don't let them down. Definitely don't let them down, indeed. That's right, indeed. So, speaking of magical down, we're coming down to the magical question that every guest gets to receive. And that is if you're to wake up tomorrow and you were 25 again, but this time in the current year of 2021, with all of your knowledge and experience, what advice would you give to yourself?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? I would say get started on your dreams right away and get started where you're at. I think so many times we want to wait until certain things happen or we want to get to a certain stage of our life before we start really living our dreams and going after what's really important to us. And you know what? You got to enjoy the ride. And time is our most precious resource. I've definitely learned that. And, you know, 25 years ago, 25 years flew by. And as I'm sitting here on the edge of 50. So I would say go after it now. Don't wait, and start where you're at, start with what you have, and just go after your dreams right away.
Heck yeah, I could definitely say that again. Yes, indeed. Starting your dreams right away. Yeah, because time flies too fast. It flies too darn fast. Yeah, yeah. Folks weren't kidding. It's like, yo, after college, year's gonna fly by. It's like, oh, you sure you're not kidding? Nah, I'm not kidding. Wake up next day and you're 50, and it's like, oh, crap, he wasn't lying.
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh my goodness. Well, for those who need to not wait any longer and pick up a bunch of copies of your wonderful book, and I can even sign up for that I Got Smarter app, what's the best way for folks to keep up with Nelson and what he's doing?
Yeah, you can go to nelsontressler.com and everything is there. The book is available there. The Unlucky Sperm Club, You're Not a Victim of Your Circumstances, but a Product of Your Choices. You can also pick that book up anywhere books are sold, including Amazon. And if you like listening to your books, you can get it on audible.com. And the I Got Smarter app is available at Apple and Android at the app stores or IGOTSMARTER.com.
Well, there you have it, folks. Head over to NelsonTressler.com. Pick up some copies of this wonderful book. It's inspiration, the book that'll one day be a movie. I'm going to speak into existence for you, indeed, because folks are going to be needing to see that on the big screen, indeed, all the big screens. And check out all the stuff that Nelson's doing, because I'm pretty sure this is far from all the stuff that he's going to be putting out into the wonderful world that awaits us in the magical future. So any parting words before we close up shop, Nelson?
Yeah, you know what? Hopefully you were inspired. Hopefully you're motivated, and get started on your dreams. Start where you're at and start now.
How's it going, you super special, awesome human? Since you made it to the end of this episode, it looks like you really enjoyed yourself. Since you enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it with at least 3 people in your network and tell them what you really liked about this episode. Heck, even shoot myself or the guest an email and let them know what you liked most about this interview, so that way they can stay inspired to keep pushing out great work.